Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Needy boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe. Party Reds, good setters. Got me on the mic now, let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Will to Steph, we hit it again. Open the chimes in, let's go deep. Young bloods rising, can't skip a beat. Lovely prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream highs. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, we're roll better. We're hoop heads, trendsetters.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Gardi3, and welcome to the And One Podcast. And of course, joining me just like every week, he is the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, what's going on, Brett? What's good, chat? Thursday night, we're talking hoops.
No, absolutely. And Mo, before we get into underrated player of the week, just wanted to do a quick shout out. Thanks to Jory real quick for the new logo. Love it. You killed it. So I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Jory of Wire to Wire. Fantastic podcaster, even better graphic designer.
Fantastic.
Say, you know how it is, Mo? Underrated player of the week. Every week, we like to start out with an underrated player of the week. So, Mo, you want to get us kicked off this week?
I'm gonna go with a player who, unfortunately, the NBA just lost a member of their family. He just passed away recently, so I'm gonna go this week and just give Rodney Rogers his flowers. Rodney Rogers was a guy who could put the ball on the floor, could shoot at range, attack the rim. You could argue that he had a similar skill set to Zion, maybe not as physically gifted, but a really good basketball player, a natural scorer, and just a really good guy, beloved within the NBA community. I just want to give him flowers because even after his accident, which kind of put him in a wheelchair and he really only could move, had limited range of movement, never lost that spirit, stayed upbeat, stayed involved, kept trying to help people. So just a big shout out to Rodney Rogers, the way that he competed on the court and the way that he lived his life off the court.
Hey, fair enough. That's a great shout out. Shout out to Rodney Rogers, and it's unfortunate that he passed away. So thoughts and prayers to his family, friends, and loved ones. Mo, I'm gonna go to I think I'm gonna do mine with a rival team this week. And I'm gonna start out with a question. If I were to ask you who the Boston Celtics leader in plus minus is, who's the first names you would guess?
In plus minus, maybe Peyton Pritchard.
Say, he's actually third. my underrated player of the week is the leader in plus minus, and just a guy who's had a big impact at the center position, Neemias Queta. I was a little concerned about the Celtics center position coming into the season. They were losing Porzingis, Horford. I thought it might be a little bit of a tough sledding, but shout out to Queta. He stepped up his game. He's shown he flashed the ability to shoot some from distance and been able to protect the rim for him. Just a very solid presence down low for him. So it just shout out to Queta. He's been terrific for Boston so far.
Yeah, I give the guy a lot of credit because his first couple of years, he was really raw, didn't have good footwork, struggled to hold his position in the post, and he just put it to work. Now I look at him, and in a lot of ways, he kind of reminds me of that guy that doesn't put up the flaunty big numbers, but he makes heady, smart plays. He's kind of like a new version of Kevin Looney. Just a really good, solid post player on both ends of the floor. So I love that shout out because he's taken a big stride in his career.
No, absolutely. Say one of my one of my favorite Twitter follows is Bucks legend Michael Redd. I always love his Twitter page. He's so positive about the game. He was given some shout outs to Tyrese Maxey and his development over the years. I did love to see that.
Michael Redd must just be a really, really positive individual because I do follow him on TikTok. And everything he talks about is for the betterment of the game. I've never heard him utter anything negative about anyone. So look, shout out to Michael Redd for just being a really positive influence on the NBA.
NBA Hall of Famer.
That's right. That's right. He's a member of the Redeem Team. That's right. Shout out to Michael Redd, immortalized as a member of that team. I love that.
Now, speaking of another NBA Hall of Famer, think you know where I'm going with this one, Mo. 2 a.m. my time. Chris Paul and the Clippers parted ways, and it did not seem like it was a mutual parting. So, apparently, according to reports, Chris Paul was a little too vocal and boisterous for some of the Clippers. His leadership style rubbed guys the wrong way. So, yeah, he's gone. Sounds like he was trying to hold guys accountable. It's just a mess over there on the Clippers side of things. Mo, what were your thoughts on Chris Paul and the Clippers parting ways, and what did you think of the follow-up reports of it came down to his leadership rubbing people the wrong way?
When I first heard that they had sent him home, the first thing I thought of is this is an example of Chris Paul being Chris Paul, voicing his opinion maybe about the Clippers as a franchise and the work habits and holding your star players and everybody accountable. When's the last time that's been a thing in that organization? Because look, obviously they didn't bring Chris Paul there to be the starting point guard, and he wasn't getting a lot of playing time. I think there was frustration there from him because I'm sure Chris Paul was like, I'm not in my prime, but I can still bring the ball up. I can still give meaningful minutes. And then the next day after he was told to go home, you heard Ty Lue talking, Ty Lue saying, it just wasn't a good fit. We appreciate Chris, but things just didn't work out. That tells me that he and Ty Lue didn't get along. That Chris Paul probably stepped to Ty Lue and questioned Ty Lue's leadership. And this isn't me questioning Ty Lue, but this is me saying this. Ty Lue, he's gotten a lot of mileage, Brett, out of that one championship. A lot of mileage. Like, I know a lot of people in the media, they be killing Doc Rivers about, how much mileage he got out of his one championship. Isn't Ty Lue doing the same thing? Like, removed from that championship, what has Ty Lue done? Am I missing something? What has he done?
No, you're right. He just has He's gotten a lot of miles out of that one championship. He's starting to trend into Doc Rivers 2.0 territory.
Oh, I think he's already there. And this isn't a knock. I'm just being real about what is. It's funny because people have their favorites. Doc is low-hanging fruit, but the first thing you hear about when the Clippers struggle or they're not very good, you hear, well, Ty Lue can coach his tail off. It's not. The first thing they say is it's not Ty Lue. Like, it is Ty Lue. If the Clippers aren't playing at their optimum level or they're underachieving, it's the players and it's the coach. It is Ty Lue. And so I can see where Chris Paul, he would butt heads. Chris Paul came to the Clippers. He wanted to retire a Clipper. And I don't think he had illusions of the Clippers being a title contender. But I do think he thought he was joining a team that was a playoff contender, right? And I think Chris Paul was frustrated. In the end, for me, them sending Chris Paul home, and you can tell me the chemistry didn't work or whatever, I think there's a better way you could have handled that. I just thought with all the things that the Clippers have been through over the last couple of years, why do you need any more negative PR?
And to me, like, what's the real big issue? Just having him chill on the bench at the end of the day. Look, I do dislike how the way this has ended. Chris Paul is boisterous. We've known that. But Chris Paul also changes the culture of wherever he goes. He made a lot of different teams winners by holding guys accountable. That's who he is. You probably should have known that before you even, got him. So I just genuinely, I don't understand this move from the Clippers' perspective to an extent. Because, I mean, one, for real, you just lost out on a lot of money. You know how many people would have actually paid to come see Chris Paul, even for like 5 minutes a game on his retirement tour?
Right.
But this also is kind of worrying if you're the Clippers, because to me, it sounds like that they can't handle accountability and leadership. And that kind of tracks, right, with some of the reports, not only with Ty Lue, but with their two-star players. James Harden and Chris Paul, remember, played in Houston together. And the reports were James Harden got him shipped out of town because he didn't like the way that he taught, the way he held them accountable. Like, they clashed all the time and how the offense should be run. Like, those two personalities did not get along. Kawhi Leonard's a guy that ran out of San Antonio, and a big part of that, apparently the tipping point, was Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili in a players-only meeting, straight up asking him, are you coming back this year? So this just seems like a whole team that just struggles with accountability. And if you want to build, a winning franchise, you got to be able to hold yourselves and each other accountable. And I think that moving on from Chris Paul for holding you accountable is the wrong move. I get it. He's on the downhill of his career. He's struggling this year. He's not putting up great numbers. But if you can't handle, criticism coming your way from teammates, then I don't know what to tell you about your positioning as a franchise. That's how you end up in the Clippers' current predicament, where you're 5-16 6-16 now, and you have none of your picks. They're going all in, but it just doesn't seem like they have the mental fortitude and toughness to really keep moving forward.
It's a weird look, though, Brett, when you use terms like they're going all in. When you field the oldest starting lineup in basketball, you're not going all in. You are struggling to get down the road. Your car is leaking fuel. Like you're not going all in. You're trying to put a Band-Aid on something that needs major surgery. The Clippers, starting with their owner, Steve Ballmer, their general manager, Lawrence Frank, they're trying to avoid doing the hard thing. And you know what I'm talking about. The hard thing is admitting you need to rebuild. The hard thing is admitting we're just treading water. We're not even thinking about winning a title, but we want to continue to be almost relevant. That's a terrible message to send to your season ticket holders, when the reality is you should be cleaning house. Buy Kawhi, buy James Harden, Like, you literally need to move off of these guys and get as many assets as you can because, like you said, they don't have none of their picks. What the Clippers did, in part because of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they mortgaged their future to make a run at a title. And sadly, the closest they came to winning a title was that first year when they were in the bubble. And they would have won. I think they would have won had they not blown a 3-1 lead to a Nuggets team that wasn't even the best version of the Nuggets. And they blew that 3-1 lead, and they never came close to getting to the finals. And now look where they're at now. They let Paul George walk. Didn't try to trade him. Didn't try to get any value back. No sign and trade, no nothing. Like, Lawrence Frank should be fired. Lawrence Frank has helped run the Clippers into the ground. And I'm sure knowing Chris Paul, he probably said that to his face. I'm sorry. You look at the Clippers, and if you're a Clipper fan, what do you have to be excited about? Y'all ain't winning nothing. And if your team is a lottery team, you still ain't getting nothing because you ain't got no picks. The Clippers' future is beyond bleak. They have nothing going on. Meanwhile, look at Oklahoma City. They're the defending champions, and they're going to have lottery picks in next year's draft. That's crazy. Thank the Clippers. Thank those Clippers. I just think the Clippers are a dumpster fire that doesn't want to admit they're a dumpster fire.
Oh, don't worry, Mo. The report already came out that Ballmer really values continuity, so it sounds like Frank is not going anywhere.
Look, that as a Laker fan, because we're in the same division, good. That's great.
So, Mo, what do you do now if you're the Clippers? I got you. Because I'm trying to think like the Clippers, Mo, and I thought of an all-in move for them that it ends up trading another one of their first-round picks. And at first I'm like, oh, I mean, you shouldn't trade any more first-round picks. And then I realized, Mo, we're talking about the Clippers. So naturally, I put that sucker in the trade machine and said, yeah, they probably would trade another first-round pick. But hear me out, Mo. I think this could very well be a Lawrence Frank move to try to save the Clippers. So first, I think John Collins, movable salary, $18 million. It's expiring. Bogdanovich, older. He's getting older. $16 million a year for the next 2 years. I think you can use that salary to match LaMelo Ball. It works. So Mo, what do you think about the Clippers potentially, because this just feels like something they would do, trying to salvage their season by maybe packaging Collins, Bogdanovich, a future first for a player like LaMelo Ball? Just like throwing it out there. We know LaMelo, Trey, and Ja apparently are all on the block. So what do you think about them making a move for one of those guys?
Would the Clippers do it? Yeah, they don't value picks like most franchises, and they're stuck in NBA purgatory. They have no choice. That pick, to your point, it'll probably be a valuable pick come 2030, 2031. So if I'm the Hornets and I don't believe LaMelo Ball is a franchise player that can take us to the playoffs, and not just on a one-off, but make us a relevant, routine, competitive team, I would move off of him. And I don't know about the Hornets, but I know for sure if the Clippers can make that move, that is 100% a Clipper move. Mind you, they would make that move like they fleeced the Hornets. And then once you had to put that together on the court, tell me what that would look like. How long before James Harden and Kawhi Leonard would have both choked LaMelo Ball?
No, that's fair. But honestly, we can already tell that the Clippers just kind of want to make splashes, and they're desperate. So this just feels like the perfect storm to make a move for someone like LaMelo.
I mean, it's kind of a homecoming. He is from Cali, and I don't doubt it. I feel like if I'm the Hornets, and I want to move LaMelo if I believe that. I guess what I'm saying is if I'm the Hornets, I think I can do better than what the Clippers could offer.
Hey, fair. They say now's the time to strike for LaMelo while his value is just kind of at an all-time low.
No, I agree. You know what? You put it out there. I know for sure. I think you're right on this, partner. I think 100% the Clippers wouldn't hesitate to make this a reality. But if they can't make it a reality, I don't think that would stop them from trying to put together the same package and maybe pursuing a Trae Young, right? I can see that.
And they also have their. This makes me laugh. They also have their 2032 first that they can add into the deal if they really wanna. But I'd strongly advise against doing that. I don't think they should trade any more first, but it just feels like a panic move is coming from them.
Come on, partner. You just said it yourself. This is the Clippers. If you're gonna throw in a 31, throw in a 32. What do you guys care about? You don't value the future. It's all about now. And here's the thing. Even if they were able to get LaMelo or Trae Young, and it worked out. I mean, worked out in a way where they're relevant, they're winning, they're in the playoffs. Is it going to work out to where they're going to be lifting the championship trophy at the end of the season? It is not. So again, the Clippers are doing what they've been doing for the last few years. They're putting a Band-Aid over a patient that needs major surgery. And I don't doubt that Trae Young will play well. I don't doubt that LaMelo will play well. I don't think it's going to ultimately turn your fortunes around, though, because LaMelo's young. He's good. But James Harden and Kawhi, they'll just be a year older next year. This situation doesn't get better. It gets worse. I think if you acquire LaMelo Ball, if you're lucky enough, you're in the Clippers, you shouldn't stop there with your trading. If you get LaMelo, don't be done. If you're going to be sellers and buyers, like be the ultimate buyers and sellers. Get LaMelo, get rid of Kawhi and James Harden.
Oh, hey, whoa, let's not speak too much sense here. They need a full rebuild? Nah. They're going all in. We all know it. No, but you're right. They desperately need a full rebuild, but I don't know. I let's just hope that they know that too. Let's put it that way. By the way, too, I did. This one was funny. I wanted to backtrack to this because, of course, I got to talk about the now apparently revamped Giannis trade rumors. Revamped for the 6th time in 6 fucking months, apparently.
More.
Dude, like, they already won. Like, Windhorst, first off, like, yesterday, Windhorst goes, yeah, Giannis already called the Knicks, see if, they'd be interested, etc. And then he backtracked the next day. It's frustrating. LaMelo go, you're right. It just feels like a panic move is coming for the Clippers to try to salvage their season. Yeah, you're right, Kyle. It's just frustrating, right? Like, it's just annoying to deal with because I know that Giannis could very well leave after the year. I wouldn't be shocked if he left after the year's up. I wouldn't be shocked if they traded him mid-season, but I don't need to hear about it like every other day. It's just irritating at this point. Also, you know what's irritating? Guys, for your respective fan bases, if you want Giannis, you're going to need Giannis money. I see too many teams people go like Spurs fans, for example. Well, I want Giannis, but I'm not getting rid of Castle or Harper. Well, you want Giannis, you're getting rid of Castle or Harper. Either or. Like, if you're, say, the only way you can get away with it is if you made it like a 3-team trade and you can get, like, for example, somehow convince the Hawks to throw in that Pelicans pick. You get the Thunder to throw in a first, that Clippers first. You would need some insane draft picks for Milwaukee to be like, yeah, we don't need blue chip prospects. We'll just take a first. But the reality is, if you want Giannis, you're going to need Giannis money. Like, my mock draft, I threw together a fun Giannis trade for the Spurs just for fun. And granted, I threw in Vassell and Keldon Johnson just for salary filler, but there's like many different ways that the Spurs could go about this if they want to keep one of Vassell or Johnson. But obviously threw in Dylan Harper to the 2 Atlanta first, a Spurs first, and the real prize of the picks being the Sacramento Kings 2031 first. I think something like that, where it's like the equivalent of 5 firsts when you throw in someone like Dylan Harper, is reasonable. People trying to get Giannis for, Mikal Bridges 2 firsts in 7 seconds. Yeah, no, we're hanging up the phone on you. So if you want to throw Giannis mock trades, go for it. Knock yourself out. But at least try to make them realistic, please.
I like that. Chat, I say go for it, chat. Everybody in the chat, come up with your best mock trade. The Spurs have the most assets. The only team that has more assets than the Spurs would be the Thunder. And the weird thing is the Thunder might be one of the few teams that are like, we don't need Giannis. They'd love to have him, I'm sure, but they don't need him. I think the Spurs need him. I think Wemby needs him. I think he would be so good for Wemby. I think the partnership could be very similar to Robinson and Duncan. I actually think it would be better because Robinson was at the end of his career. Giannis is still at the peak of his powers right now. Wemby would still have Giannis at least for another 3 years at a super high level before the decline kicks in. You're telling me you don't think Giannis is going to be able to get them to 1 finals at least? I think they might get to a couple of them. But to your point, when you get somebody like Giannis, you got to pay the price. You're going to give up Harper, or you're going to give up Castle. You're going to give up one of them, along with a Vassell or Keldon Johnson and picks. And it sounds like a lot. It is a lot because you're getting back one of the best players of this era, a transcendent player who was in his prime. It works that way.
See, and like this trade, I don't hate it. I think you'd probably have to add in like another first. It's probably going to require at least either 3 firsts and then another player that's the equivalent of 1 or 2 firsts. So that being said, I think if we talk like, let's say the 2030, I think the Bucks will target 2 things if you make a deal with San Antonio: Dylan Harper and the 2031 Kings pick. I think those are the 2 most valuable assets you got. And I think that's exactly what the Bucks would target. And then I think you're probably going to be looking at giving them the 2026 Hawks first, and then maybe like your 2029 first. Say those are like the Hawks and the 2029 Spurs first. Middle of the road for the Hawks. Probably a late like in the 20s for the Spurs pick, and then the Kings pick.
You know what was crazy?
Ronnie straight up.
I mean, right. Look, I don't think the Thunder are in the Giannis market. I don't. That doesn't mean that they aren't. Sam Presti's a genius. And the crazy thing about Sam Presti is he has the draft capital that they wouldn't have to give up any of their young stars because of how good of those draft picks are. Now, they would have to give up some guys that can play, but you wouldn't have to give up Chet or J-Dub or somebody like that. They're going to have 2 picks that are going to be in the top 10. The only question is how far up in the top 10 they're going to be. That's crazy to me. Because I'm sure a lot of people are already looking at Cam Boozer. By the way, I watched the young man play last night. Whatever you think of his father, he looks like a carbon copy of his dad when he plays.
Yeah, and the funny part too with the Thunder, right? And I kind of looked at this. They could make the salaries work without adding in Chet, J-Dub, or obviously, Shea's off limits. We know that. That'd be the goal of trading for Giannis.
Right.
But they can make the salaries work without actually adding in Chet or J-Dub if they went the picks route. And then you add in like the Clippers pick and it's enticing. Let me give you the names that it would require. You go Hartenstein, Aaron Wiggins, Deng, Nikola Topic, and Sorber. They're rookie from this year. The salaries match. You can take out one of them if you want and add Lou Dort if you really want to. At that point, you know what the Bucks are going to do. They're going to be like, okay, you're not giving us any blue chip prospects, so we'll take that Clippers first, and we'll take 4, 5, 6 first. Like, I think if you send Giannis to the Thunder, that's when you'd get some absurd, like, hey, 6 firsts for Giannis. If they decide to not, trade any of their prospects. But it's an interesting idea to see it.
It really is. You bring up an excellent point. They're the one team that have the assets to where they wouldn't have to trade any of their core players, and they can make, other than maybe a Hartenstein, but you would still keep Chet, J-Dub, along with Shea, and you're adding Giannis to that core. That's insanity to me. Look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Sam Presti has played his cards perfectly to put himself in a position to where if he does want to make a big move, instead of like relying on adding more draft picks, the Thunder are built. They have the flexibility to do that. My gut feeling is and it's a big if Giannis is actually going to be moved, I still think the Spurs are the natural destination. They have the assets. The only difference is they don't have the cushion that the Thunder have, so you will have to give up somebody of value. If it's not Castle, it will be Harper. You're going to give up one of them. If you're not going to give up one of them, there's no way San Antonio even entices a deal with the Spurs, because they're going to want a young piece to be part of their next iteration. Because let's face it, when you trade Giannis, you're basically in a full-on rebuild. There are a couple of young players in the Bucks right now that you would keep, obviously, but most of those guys, they won't be part of your future.
You know what the risk of this is, though? Mo, you witnessed this firsthand, right? Kawhi Leonard was going to be Paul George was going to be a Laker. They just had to wait until he hit free agency, and then that never happened. Kawhi Leonard, obviously, was going to be a Laker, but he got packaged with the whole Paul George. But I'm more like referring to the whole Paul George situation, because I remember hearing all like that, season before that. Oh, Lakers aren't going to trade for Paul George because they're just going to wait for him to hit free agency. Then they'll sign him in free agency. He wants to be in LA. So you can run this route, but obviously it's very risky because then you turn it into open bidding. And then once you hit open bidding, like, it's anybody's game. So,
and it never pans out, right? Because if you turn it into open bidding, now you've put it in Giannis's control, right? So there's certain places he's not going to go play. Just for example, Giannis is not going to become a member of the Indiana Pacers. That ain't going to happen, right? Giannis is not going to go join Cade Cunningham in Detroit. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see him playing in New York. I don't think that's going to happen. He's not going to be a Sixer. It's not going to happen. I think he has 3, maybe 4 teams tops that he looks at and goes, I feel comfortable playing there. I think I can play there. I think I can fit with their stars. I think there's only a couple of teams that if he were ever to leave, there's only a couple of teams, 2 or 3 teams that he's serious about. But if you try to let's just wait him out and wait till he's a free agent, that's a horrible strategy. If you're a Knicks fan and you're like, let's just wait him out, you're not going to get him. You won't get him.
So Giannis is under contract next year.
Right.
That's why I think the Bucks have more leverage than people think. He has a player option before the 2027-2028 season hits, but next year he's a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. So as of right now, you can get, if you trade for him right now, that's getting a year and a half of him. Even if you wait till the offseason, you're still getting a haul because you get the inside edge to court him for that year and can try to convince him to sign. So it's one of those things that, while I don't think Milwaukee has as much leverage potentially as they'd like, I think sometimes people are underselling how much leverage that they have because, hey, they still have him next year, and whoever trades for him, if you can win him over, that could be your key to winning the Giannis sweepstakes and getting him long term.
I agree. Look, the fact that the Bucks are going to have him under contract through next year, I think they do have more leverage than people think because he might want to be traded and other teams might want to be trade for him. But if the Bucks don't feel like people are offering fair or decent compensation, they're in no obligation to move him. even though he wants to be traded. I know if I'm in Bucks management, I could be like, look, Giannis, I get it. I know you're ready to go, but I'm not going to just take any deal. I want to do right by you. But if I'm the GM of the Bucks, my first priority is to do right by the Bucks.
And it has to be. I think the negotiations would almost be like I think it would be like almost like a Dame situation where Dame was like, I want to go to Miami. And Portland's like, great, we'll try to send you to Miami, but if it doesn't work out, we're going to do what's best for Portland. Yeah, I don't think Giannis gets traded at this point in season. I think this is going to be a situation where it's going to be next offseason. And even then, if Giannis requests a trade, I still think the Bucks have quite a bit of leverage because you're looking at teams having potentially having the inside track to a top 3 player in the world. And if I'm the Bucks, yeah, I'm aiming for young guys with potential. The thing with the Bucks too is they're not great drafters, and I wouldn't stop that from getting a haul of draft picks, obviously. But if I have a choice of a bunch of picks or getting less picks, but then getting someone like Dylan Harper, I'm taking like the Dylan Harper package.
I like that. I don't want to get crazy because I think Dylan Harper has all the potential in the world. Here's the crazy thing about Harper. Castle is a freakish, explosive athlete. Like, it's not even close. Their physical metrics don't match. Castle's in a whole nother level. But my gut feeling is that Dylan Harper is going to end up being the better player, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying, and I think Castle's going to be really, really good, but I think Dylan Harper is going to eventually surpass him and be an even better player.
I think so too. I think it'll end up in a situation like this. I think Castle will end up being the better two-way player.
Yes.
But yes. I think Dylan Harper will just be the better player.
Yeah, maybe that's what I meant. Like, Dylan Harper is going to be the guy that might drop 26, 27 points a night, 6 or 7 assists. Castle might be an all-NBA defender and still give you 18 to 20 a night. I agree. I think he'll be a better two-way player, but I think Harper will be more of a primary in terms of scoring.
Dylan Harper's game reminds me a lot of, like, Jalen Brunson. I think he can reach, like, almost like fringe to all-NBA, like, levels of stardom. Like, if he became an all-NBA player before his rookie contract's up, wouldn't surprise me. I think Castle's potential, to me, I'm thinking more like a Drew Holiday, where you're looking at, like, maybe an all-star caliber player, which both of those players are really freaking good. But obviously, I'd say if you had a choice between Jalen Brunson or Drew Holiday, probably leaning someone like Jalen Brunson. Most teams are going to do that.
And that's fair. Look, Drew is that's a good example, by the way. Drew's a better two-way player, right? If you said who's the better all-around player, you would say Pete Drew Holiday was a better all-around player. But who can have a bigger impact in terms of what they do at their best? It would be Jalen Brunson, because he can give you 28 to 30 a night, not just in the regular season, but he can do that in a playoff series. He's just a dominant scorer. So I like that comparison. I don't think you would, if you're the Bucks and you get Castle and not Harper, I don't think you're sad. I think Harper is Castle will be a big part of your rebuild. He's going to be a star. But I think if you get Harper, I think he does have a higher ceiling.
By the way, I do love the name. By the way, Pacers stink. Terrific.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but that's pretty cool.
Do you think Bronny has the potential to be a good player? I think he does. I think when I look at Bronny, I think he could potentially develop into a solid rotation player. If you're looking at anything else above that for Bronny, I think your expectations are too high. But if you told me that he developed into a quality rotation player that could give you 15, 20 minutes a night, remember, Bronny, before he, went into cardiac arrest and had the heart issues, he was projected to go 17 in the draft. Like, he was graded out as a first-round talent. Now, everything kind of fell apart after the heart issues, but I do think the potential's still there. And if he became like a quality rotation piece, it really wouldn't shock me.
I'm kind of with you, partner, but I'll go a step further. I think his future will be brighter once he gets away from his dad's shadow. So whether LeBron retires first or maybe goes somewhere else another season, or maybe Bronny goes to another franchise, I do believe he can be a really good rotation player. I think Bronny could be the type of player that's very similar to Gary Payton II.
Yeah.
I think he has that kind of ability.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he can have an impact on winning. I just feel like the extra scrutiny right now that he has with, being with LeBron is creating some unfair expectations for him. By the way, Mo, my favorite report of the day, and we touched on this in the group chat, so I don't know if the chat saw this, but apparently Gary Payton Jr., by the way, like the Warriors version right now, not like the glove Gary Payton. I saw Gary Payton, and I'm like, we better clarify that we're not talking about like the glove from the Supersonics. Yeah, but my favorite report for today, Mo. Giannis and his representatives reached out to the Bulls about a potential deal, and the Bulls said that they are not interested in breaking up their young core or changing direction.
Okay, so you saw this before I did, and then I came in late. But the thing that stood out to me was they're not interested in breaking up their. Am I missing something? Because I know who's on their roster. I know who's on their roster. Now, like the young man from Europe, we both think he's going to eventually be a star. But he's still very raw. The only two people that any team would pursue would be Getty or him. But when you say core, you make it seem like you're Oklahoma City. What core are you talking about? Who would believe that Giannis would go, yo, I want to play in Chicago, right? Like I know you guys are barely like in the play-in, but I want to play for Chicago. And by the way, even if Giannis reached out, you do realize by the time the trade was finished, all that whatever core they're talking about, because I don't know what core they're talking about. What young core? There's Josh Giddey. What is that young?
Matas Buzelis would be their
right.
other core.
There's Giddey, Buzelis, and then a bunch of Jags. And Nick Vucevic, who's I think Vuce is like 34, 35. So what young core are you talking about? Because I know you're not talking about a young core that includes Patrick Williams. I know you're not talking about Patrick Williams because he's not in high demand. Look, Chicago, I'll give them credit. They came out very competitive, got off to a fast start. But if you've been following them, they've come back to the pack and started to look a lot like they've looked the last couple of years. Even though, to Josh Giddey's credit, he stepped his game up and become a much better scorer. I don't see where Giannis would be a member of the Bulls. That doesn't seem realistic.
Just for fun, I did put that into the trade machine to figure out how they could make the salaries work. And it's hilarious, the contracts that would make the salaries work. So in order to get Giannis, they would need to pretty much trade all their depth that would make the team decent with Giannis anyway. So there's really not a point in doing it. Or, Mo, they could try to convince Milwaukee of this. Big three, Mo. You're the GM of the Bucks. I'm the Bulls. I'm calling you. Hey, I want Giannis. Here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a ton of picks. And the three players I'm giving you. Kobe White. Okay, that's kind of attractive. Nikola Vucevic and Patrick Williams makes the salaries match, ladies and gentlemen. You can sub one of them out, I guess, for like Jalen Smith in year like 6 if you really wanna.
And by the way, Kobe White is actually a really good player. I think on a winning team, on a title contending team, Kobe White has Lou Williams kind of ability, right? He's got Jay Crossover, Jamal Crawford kind of ability, Malik Monk kind of ability. He's instant offense off your bench, on any bench. So he does have value. But if I'm giving you Giannis and you're including Patrick Williams in any package, voided. Void it.
Trying to sell the Bucks on 2025 Nikola Vucevic. I'm just fighting him at the draft at that point.
Right. Come on, man. Like the Bull, I think that's another Shams Charania scam. Like Shams has been talking about Giannis getting traded. It feels like the last couple of years.
I can find you Giannis mock trades from the year after he won Most Improved Player. They've been trying to get him out of there for a while now. Say, I don't get my hopes up firing Doc. Doc's a weird guy, though. Here's the thing. Doc, when it comes to, like, actually managing a championship level team, not great. We've seen this multiple times before. Doc, when it comes to managing, like, a lot of underachievers, he's actually pretty good at that. Like, when there's no expectations, Doc's pretty good. And the year I always point out to, the year before he went to Philly, Mo, that year when it was like Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell led Clippers team.
I remember that.
With like rookie Shea.
Yeah. I remember that.
So, like, I would love to fire Doc. I've made it very clear I'm not a Doc Rivers guy. But I think we're just kind of stuck with him. And I think as soon as the expectations drop, maybe he performs at that point, which I'm still going to be mad, but it might be entertaining.
So what you're saying is, should you guys trade Giannis, Doc's going to start shining.
Pretty much. He's the star.
When there's no expectations and no pressure, he's a hell of a basketball coach.
If I'm Milwaukee, I wouldn't. No way I would send him to the Eastern Conference if he's traded. He's going with. Here's the thing, though.
Kyle said Giannis and Doc for Wemby. Who says no? Hey,
you know what? Doc got traded for a first before. Clearly, he's worth one first-round pick.
The Spurs say hell no. That's who says no.
Trade him to Brooklyn. Trade. Say, so here's the thing about trading Giannis to an Eastern Conference team. If you're Milwaukee, if you have the best package, you don't really care. You're not competing at that point anyway. You're just kind of rebuilding anyway. So if the Hawks, for example, came in and went, hey, we're going to give you the other half of that Pelican swap so you could possibly have 2 lottery picks in this loaded draft. We'll give you Ricochet, Porzingis, or we'll maybe even, I don't know. We'll aim for the moon. We'll give you Trae Young. We'll give you more picks. If you're the Bucks, you go, sure, why not? You want to try to run Giannis, Jalen Johnson, Okongwu trio? Knock yourself out. We'll take the picks. Because I just think that after Giannis leaves, we know the Bucks aren't going to be competitive. So at that point, if you're Milwaukee, it's just got to be, hey, I don't care if they're the East, West, EuroLeague, Australian Basketball League. If you give me the best offer for Giannis, take it.
Just by the way, I know, chat, we spent a lot of time talking about the potential of Giannis getting traded, but you are talking about one of the 5 transcendent players in the game right now. But another guy who was, I guess, booked as being a transcendent player, I think he should be on the move. And the guy I'm talking about is Zion Williamson. If you're the Pelicans, this is year 6. Zion has played in 214 of a potential 426 games. This is year 6. You've seen him at 280. Now you've seen him at, I want to say 240. And you know what's consistent? Both versions are brittle. Both versions are injury prone. If your Pelicans management, how do you not get off this train? How do you not realize this dude, it's not about his talent, but for whatever reason, his ass can't stay healthy. And we would be crazy to invest in him going forward. Not when you know, Brett, there are plenty of stupid franchises out there that will give you a king's ransom for his potential.
By the way, Mo, something incredible just happened. For the first time in his career, LeBron James has scored under 10 points in an NBA game. He finished the game with 8 points. That's the first time it's happened in his career, I believe.
That happened tonight?
Yeah. He went for 8, 6, and 11 in a 3-point win versus the Raptors.
I mean, it's kind of stunning only because the last game he played, he barely got 10. He was actually I don't know if you saw the game, but the Lakers were getting the brakes beat off of him. And LeBron comes back in the game knowing this is not even about winning now. I'm going to get them 10 points. I'm going to tell you how LeBron James' mind works. I'm going to tell you how his mind works. He got killed on social media for stat padding. He did, right? He did. So what does he do? What does he and Clutch Sports do? Let's come back the next game. And let's just go ahead and not get the 10 points. Let's be done with it. You know what I mean? Like, everything they do, it's so ungenuine. It's so rehearsed. Honestly, look, the record he put out there, even though it ended tonight, it will not get broken anytime soon, if ever.
Yeah, I think the record breaking tonight was just LeBron having an off night tonight. He shot 4 of 17 from the field. He tried to get there, but it just didn't work out.
He didn't get to the foul line?
No free throws.
God damn, bro.
He took 4 of 17, took 5 threes, and they didn't give him any free throws.
And they were playing against who?
Raptors.
Maybe I should give some credit to Scotty Barnes. I don't know. Scotty Barnes might have been on his. Look, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. If you were to talk about teams that have surprised me, I'll be honest. No team has surprised me more than Toronto has. And they're finding a way to make it work. And I hope, because as a fan of the game, I hope they can make it work all the way through the season.
The Pelicans need to stop waiting for Zion.
100%. He is a waste of air. Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This was a trade that should have happened a couple of years ago, but it was always, well, if he comes back, the potential, even before this year started. I remember already talks because Mo and I did an episode of what we did NBA stock market, because people kept talking about, well, Zion, he lost weight, he looks healthy, he's going to be a top 10 player this year. I'm like, is he going to be or is he going to be a top 20 player this year? Because now he just looks like athletic Derek Favors, where he's too big to guard, quicker forwards, but he's too small to guard bigger forwards.
This is facts. I'm not. This isn't me rooting against Zion Williamson for having a great year. This is me just saying that if you're the Pelicans, it's time to this divorce needs to happen. You look at the Pelicans and they're like a rudderless ship. I don't know what direction they're going in because Zion's not the dude. You might be better off. I'm going to put it out there. Not just trading Zion, but trading Trey Murphy, moving on from Herb Jones. You might be better off starting off fresh with Fears and Queen and whatever draft picks you get back in a Zion trade. I actually think that is a more favorable outcome than just standing pat and waiting on Zion to save you, knowing he's never going to do it.
It's my favorite part of the offseason. Not going to lie, Pacers stink. That and every year you get the centers that are never going to shoot threes in game, practicing corner threes. I think my favorite one from this year was when I open up Twitter and the first thing I see is Rudy Gobert working on ball handling drills and shooting threes. I'm like, Rudy, I'm going to sound like Patrick Ewing, but are you going to shoot that shot? Do you work on that shot? Come on, man. If anything, work on catching the ball and finishing at the rim. He's awkward in the sense as soon as there's somebody in front of him in traffic, Rudy just nah, I'm good, and he just fumbles the ball too much. So to watch him work on ball handling and three-point shooting was hilarious to me.
Let me ask you something. Do you think the Timberwolves should stand pat with the roster they currently have, or do they need to? Because I think they need to add. I think they need to add another perimeter player to take some of the load off of Ant. It's because it's kind of crazy, right? Alexander Walker, who was a member of their team last year and a 6-man and played really well for them, He's on the Hawks now having a career year. Like every night, this dude's dropping 25, 26, sometimes 30 points. Like, and I'm going, and I'm watching him play, by the way, Brett. And I'm like, I didn't know he even had that in his bag. Like, if it feels like Minnesota was holding him back. Like, what Minnesota needs is what Alexander Walker is providing the Hawks right now. They need another perimeter player that can create for themselves and others and take some of the load off of Ant.
And I agree. I think the Hawks are probably not the Hawks. The Timberwolves, it feels like, are maybe the most dangerous team to make one of the most dangerous teams to make a splash trade for one of these point guards. We talk about Trey, Ja, LaMelo being available. It feels like the team to watch is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mike Conley just isn't cutting it anymore. And Rob Dillingham has to like put his whole body into shooting an 18-footer. Like, it's not good right now. They need more ball handling. They need more playmaking on the perimeter. And because if they don't have that, I'm just going to watch teams in the playoffs trap and get the ball out of his hands and be like, all right, here we go. Somebody else make a play. And at that point, what are you really doing? Like, do you want Jaden McDaniels to attack, ISOs and defenses? Are you going to give it to Rudy to try to make something happen? No, you can't do that. So I just think that they need another playmaker. Otherwise, the Western Conference Finals again, well out of reach. I'd be shocked if they made it past the first round with this current roster.
Yeah, I'm looking at Denver. Obviously, I'm looking at the world champs, the Thunder. I'm looking at the young Spurs. I don't think the Timberwolves could beat none of those three in a series. Not if they're all at 100%. I just don't think Minnesota has enough firepower. You pointed out, partner, Ant is tremendous, but in the playoffs, what do teams do? They blitz him all the time because they're not afraid about nobody else on that team being able to beat you on the dribble.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, obviously, Julius Randle helps, but at the same time, the Julius Randle version of playmaking is just kind of him catching the ball, turning around, facing up the defense, and he's not very much a that quick of a decision maker. So by the time he's ready to make a decision on if he wants to pass or shoot, well, guess what? The defense is already back, recovered, reset, and now your advantage is gone. I think the Timberwolves are a great regular season team, but if they don't make the changes that they need to on the perimeter and upgrade from Mike Conley and the Rob Dillingham duo, short-lived come the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just asking a lot from Ant. And he's a terrific player, but you got to have floor balance, and they really don't have that. I'm looking at a team like Dallas, who most people say should be sellers. It's hard to me. It's simple. Cooper Flag is your future, and if I were Dallas, I know Nico's out of the picture, and maybe Mike Finley's taking over, or maybe it's a group effort. But as good a player as AD is, I would move off of him. He's 32. He's going to be 33 next year. And he still has value. Why would you not move him? Because he's not part of your future. All I'm saying is your best player is 18 years old. He and Anthony Davis are not going to grow together. Kyrie's already 33, going to be 34. He also is not part of your future. I love both of those players, but Dallas has to do, to me, they have to make moves, Brett, that complement Cooper Flag and will help Cooper Flag's development going forward. Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving do not help Cooper Flag.
I was joking with a buddy of mine because he's a Mavericks fan, and I told him, you know what the Mavericks should do? They should trade for LaMelo Ball. You know what would really help Cooper Flag? LaMelo Ball, D'Lo backcourt. Let's do it. Now, obviously, being very sarcastic, that would be the most unintentionally hilarious backcourt for anybody that isn't a Dallas Mavericks fan to watch. But no, I completely agree. I think you know what's funny? I think you look at Anthony Davis trades, but you keep Kyrie. I think the big thing with Cooper Flag right now is he needs somebody to set him up, and I think that will be true next year. I think having a playmaker that can help set him up and kind of push him more into a secondary playmaker role would help him a ton. And unless you're getting like a point guard back in an Anthony Davis trade, I think it would actually better Cooper Flag's development if they kept, Kyrie.
I think that's one way to go, but the truth is, you kind of read my mind. I'm looking for a perimeter player for Anthony Davis. It doesn't have to be a point guard. It could be a wing who can create and give you 6 or 7 assists. I'm a Kyrie fan. I just don't. It's not like Kyrie is a traditional point guard, because he's not. He's a shoot first point guard. So remember, you don't even know what version of Kyrie you're getting back. You're getting back. He's going to be 34, and he's going to be 34 coming off a horrific injury. Is he going to be the same Kyrie that could tie the ball on the string and be able to stop on a dime and cross people over? Like, if he's not that, and he's a lesser version of himself, I don't think he's valuable to the Mavericks.
You know what? You're a Knicks fan. I have a question for you. I mentioned this name earlier, but
What
does Mitchell Robinson work on in the offseason? Like, how is he shooting 17% from the free throw line? I know his value as a defender and like a rim runner, but like, does he not shoot free throws in the offseason? Is he like scared of the free throw line? Do they take it out in the gym he works out in? Like, there's being bad at like free throws. Like, we've seen some bad free throw shooters. Like, we've seen Ben Wallace throw out brick after brick, DeAndre Jordan, obviously Shaquille O'Neal. But shooting 17% from the free throw line is just next level bad. So I don't know. Your boy needs to get in the gym and lock himself in there till he hits at least 2,000 free throws.
The problem with Mitchell Robinson is people will point out that he's a good rim protector, and he's obviously one of the best offensive rebounders in basketball, but you can't keep him on the floor, Brett. One, he's a natural fouler. He stays in foul trouble. Two, the man can't make free throws. Late in the game, he can't play meaningful minutes late in the game because every team you play is fouling him, because you know you're winning that battle. Like, he has limited value because of his own short failings. Like, how many valuable minutes can you play somebody like that? And he has no post game. He has no post game at all. So he has a particular skill set. If I'm the Knicks, I would move him for another big who can do a similar role, but maybe do it better, and not cost as much. I don't value him as much as other people value him because he's a situational player.
I think you should pull a Rick Barry and start shooting underhand. His workouts are like Ben Simmons, and he makes 90 to 100 free throws in the offseason. It's what's mind-boggling about Mitch. Like I said, I like his game for the most part. He's just got to figure out this free throw thing. But the weirdest thing, Mo, is last year he was a 68% free throw shooter, and now he's down to 17. So to me, that tells me, like, whatever's going on, I feel like it's up here. It feels like it's just all mental with him at this point. Because how do you go from 68 to 17? I think he can be such a valuable member and contributor to that Knicks team, but he's just got to, like, at least see if he can get back up to, like, 50% from the line. 60 would be great, but if he can even get up to 50, that would be clutch.
So you said he was 68 last year.
Yeah.
But what has he been most of his career? You know what I mean? Because I feel like last year was a blip and not who he really is, indicative of because who he really is usually a guy that shoots 50 or under 50%. He's just a horrible free throw shooter. I think last year was more of a one-off than he broke through. Now this year is like to the extreme the other way. I'm just saying that if you're the Knicks and you want to go on a deep playoff run, he's got to get better, or you just can't play him. That's all. I'm being realistic. You can't play him. Like, you can say what you want about Rudy, but Rudy can make free throws.
He's 51% for his career. So, like, last year was an anomaly, but this year's like the other way anomaly. Which, hey, if anything, that means, regression to the mean. So at some point, he'll get hot. right? Because
The Knicks said he said we're not moving him at all. He gets the Knicks 10 or 12 second chance shots. Yeah, the problem is some of those are his shots. He can't shoot.
Yeah, like you said, I understand the value of Big Mitch. I just had to throw it out there because to me it's just so weird watching him all of a sudden just be completely unable to hit free throws. Like he was never good at it, but I've just never seen a drop off like this before.
I don't know. Like I said, I get the value on the good things that he does. I don't know if the good things he does outweighs the bad things. If I can't play you late, I got a problem with that. And you can't say you don't care about the missed free throws. What if Mitchell Robinson's at the free throw line and you're down 103, 102? You are going to care because we both know he's going to miss both those free throws.
Probably Mitchell's free throw percentage.
But it's going to be close, Kyle. Very close.
Say, by the way, had a game winner tonight too. VJ Edgecombe with a game-winning putback to beat the Golden State Warriors 99-98. So good for him. Love to see it.
Speaking of the Warriors, they're going to the playoffs, Brett.
Playing, I think they'll probably be a play-in team, but this team right now, as constructed, is just not good enough.
You know the problem. You know the funny thing is Jimmy Butler's slightly younger than Draymond and Steph, but right now Jimmy looks like 5 years older than them.
Hey Mo, guess what? There are problems with Jonathan Kuminga. Who would have seen that coming?
Not again. More Kuminga gate. Like they want him out, and God knows he wants out. It shouldn't be hard to make any kind of move. The funny thing is, the Warriors, for a team that's not in love with Kuminga, they're asking a lot. Like when teams say they want him or they're interested in him, Golden State's like, well, we just want a couple of number one picks and some. Like they want a lot for the guy that they don't really want. I think that's kind of weird. The kid has all the talent in the world. I still don't think he's going to end up being a star. That doesn't mean that he won't be. He can't be very good in a certain role because he can score. He can score the basketball. And Golden State is in a weird NBA purgatory, Brett, right? Because Steve Kerr is hell bent on going on one more run in the Steph Curry era because Steph is still playing at a high level. The only problem with that way of thinking is when you think in that narrow lane, you're never trying to develop your younger players. You're never getting ready for the next thing, the future. The Warriors have not made any moves for the future in a long time. And granted, look, I know they get burnt. But that's their own mistake. No one told them to draft that stick, James Wiseman. It was a terrible pick. It was a terrible pick. Terrible pick. But they did it, and they got burnt. But Mo the fan, I think it would be great if Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy could go on a great run and maybe get to another finals. But the reality is they're not going to. They're not going to the finals. The Steph Curry Warriors, whatever, like when people go, well, Giannis is not going to the finals anymore with the Bucks. That's the end of that. I feel the same way about Steph and company. Love Steph. Respect Steph. Draymond, Jimmy. It's over. It's over. Steve Kerr, start making moves for the future. I'm not saying nothing crazy like trade Steph, but start making moves for the future.
You know, they kind of giving me Clippers vibes, and like they probably should. At the same time, I'm fully expecting the announcement of breaking news: Warriors trade for Michael Porter Jr., giving up a couple more first.
You see that. I don't understand. I just, it's tough, right? Because they're trying to keep that same synergy with Steph and Draymond, and they wanted to add Jimmy, and I get it. But you're asking a lot for guys that are all in their mid-30s to carry a basketball team to a finals. In the conference that's a little bit deeper, especially at the top, Like, could the Warriors? And I didn't even mention the Rockets. I was talking about the Nuggets and the Thunder and the Spurs, even the Wolves, the Rockets. There are so many really good teams at the top. Golden State, in terms of being relevant and competing for a title, that's over.
I think Kaminga, yeah, he just doesn't fit the system. I think Kaminga could be a good, like, 20 a game scorer on a bad team or
For
some,
sure.
like,
For
small
sure.
market play-in team. Like, as a member of the Warriors, yeah, that's over. I thought he's going to be in the future for a while too, but say his play style and Steve Kerr's system just don't mesh at all.
They made some mistakes, though, Brett. We don't talk about this a lot because it's old news. They should have never got rid of Jordan Poole. They should have never got rid of Jordan. Look, now we knew before he even got to the Wizards, we knew Jordan Poole wasn't a primary. We knew he wasn't a number one, but he definitely proved right away that he was perfect in the role of instant offense off the bench. The guy's a bucket getter. He fits what they did to a T. You lose Jordan Poole, or you don't lose him, you trade him away. You get a Kaminga, but you don't value Kaminga because you're still trying to, like, put everything on the old guard. It's a weird thing because Steve Kerr is so invested in right now. He's not ready to face the future. And I feel like the weird thing is when Steph leaves, I feel like the same year Steph leaves, Steve Kerr's going to leave.
Don't forget another name that went out in that Jordan Poole trade, Ryan Rollins, who's breaking out from Milwaukee right now.
Ryan Rollins is hooping, all right? And by the way, we want to shout out some underappreciated hoopers. Let me shout out those Nembhard brothers. Those Nembhard brothers are hoopers, okay? Both of them, I know the Pacers are having a tough season, but Andrew Nembhard has actually played well. They're just not having that great season. His brother, he might be the answer to the Mavs prayers right now. I know one thing, Cooper Flagg appreciates him. That kid is a hooper.
I'd say, no, fair enough. Before we get up on out of here, Mo, I want to get your reaction to this report. It's another Bulls report, and this one to me is also funny. Say, the Chicago Bulls are trying to follow the Indiana Pacers formula and believe they have their Tyrese Halliburton and Josh Giddey, and they are now searching for their Pascal Siakam.
Let me be really, really fair. I think Josh Giddey has taken strides in the development of his game, especially as a scorer. He's already a good passer. The best version of Josh Giddey and the best version of Halliburton, they're not in the same neighborhood. And I'm not knocking Josh Giddey. Halliburton just played in the finals, man. I mean, just ran through everybody and gave Oklahoma. It's not like Oklahoma City won 4-0. They gave Oklahoma City more than they ever expected. That's a 7-game series that, had he not gotten injured, I have no idea how that ends. That's how good he was. So while I respect what Josh Giddey has done, I think it's crazy to say he's Halliburton-like. Their skill sets are the only thing they're similar at is they both like to pass the ball, but Josh Giddey can't play with the pace or the quickness that Halliburton played at. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and of course in that game 7, Hallie ripped off like 3 threes before his Achilles went off.
Right.
Like, he gave me hope. I'm like, Pacers are about to do this, aren't they? And then of course the injury happens and that's it. But he is super nasty.
He is. I'm a big fan. And look, I like Josh Giddey. Clearly, Chicago thinks a lot of their talent. Like I said, when you can turn down Giannis and go, we're not messing up our core. Clearly, Billy Donovan knows something that you and I don't know.
It makes me think that they're going to make a Gideon's caliber like Patrick Williams.
We need to just hang that up on the board. That is pure facts, Kyle. That's facts.
Oh, so it just makes me think that the Bulls are making a move. I just don't know what it is. I don't. The funny part is they're like, yeah, we don't want Giannis, but hey, Anthony Davis, we're right in those talks, apparently. I think that's hilarious to me. But I think I feel like they're going to end up paying a king's ransom for a forward, and I'm going to give we'll throw out a name, I'm throwing an idea. A reunion of sorts. Don't give that Pacer bum any credit. Hey, you know what? I respect the hate. I respect it.
That's a true Knicks fan.
Mo, hear me out. I could very well see the Bulls having a reunion with Lauri Markkanen.
No.
If they are so convinced they're one piece away and they're looking for an all-star caliber player, outside of Giannis, Mo, who's the all-star caliber player? Like, the only guy available is Lauri Markkanen.
It's Markkanen. And I said no, but in a weird way, it makes sense. He would go there. He would be their leading scorer, and he'd be the guy that Getty can play off of. Which is weird because he was already a former Bull. But you know what? I feel like it's a move Chicago would make. As crazy it may sound, I wouldn't write it off.
And I feel like they're concerned about age. That's why they decided to say no to Giannis, but yes to Anthony Davis for whatever reason. But it feels like that Lauri Markkanen also checks that age box because he's actually closer to the core in age.
The core. I like that.
I to be fair, though, I'm still convinced that I could give the Bulls like a legitimate core. Like, I could give the Bulls the OKC Thunder roster. And if Billy Donovan's the coach, they're getting knocked in the first round.
I don't disagree with that at all. By the way, I don't disagree with that statement at all. Look, I find it weird that Chicago was leery about trading for Giannis, but they're very excited for trading for 32-year-old injury-prone Anthony Davis. I don't understand that way of thinking. Markkanen makes the most sense because I think he's like 26, 27. And he's just coming into his peak. So, look, I think you're right. I think the Bulls are going to overpay for a forward. I just don't know which forward it's going to be.
Yeah, I will die once they do it for Anthony Davis and then use the excuse, well, he's the hometown kid. It's going to be great. I'm excited for the Bulls to do something stupid. Yeah.
That was short-lived. It was short-lived.
Look, at least our guy Will had some excitement for a week, being a Bulls and Saints fan.
This is true. Will had a really good week to start the season, a couple of weeks. He did. And look, I don't think the Bulls are going to be a horrible team going forward. I think they're going to be a team competing for the play-in. But they've been a team for the last 3 or 4 seasons competing for the play-in. Like, at some point, if you're my head coach and we're living in the play-in, I have to look at you. And yet, what did they do? They gave Billy Donovan a raise.
It's the same 4 teams in the play-in in the East. My Thunder, nothing else. Fair enough, Kerm. I love how it's the same 4 teams in the play-in every year in the East. Every year, it's some variation, different seeding, but it's like, who's in the play-in? Okay, it's the Bulls, it's the Hawks, it's the Raptors, it's the Heat.
Right.
Every year without fail. Say, no, fair enough. But hey, that's all we had for you guys today. Anything you want to add before we get up on out of here, Mo?
No, thank you guys so much, especially the chat. Very live. Kyle, the Knicks fan, Pacers stink. I love that moniker, by the way. Karam came in at the last minute. Karam, look, you're the man. Your Thunder are the world champs, looking every bit like the world champs at the start of this season. Just got J-Dub back. Nothing I can say. They're the best team in basketball, and until somebody knocks them out, and that's going to be a hard takedown. But yeah, appreciate you, chat. Appreciate the energy. Thank you guys so much for joining Brett and I. You guys have a great night.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys catch Passion and Precision tomorrow night with our guy Kyle. Maybe he'll talk about the Billy Donovan Invitational. But that being said, we thank you guys so much for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for tuning in to the And One podcast. If you like our content, you can find more on the Wire to Wire Podcast Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. Want more And One? Find it on Wire to Wire. Like and share our Facebook page and join the And One Discord. Grab the link to join from our Facebook. Thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful day.